Good morning, friends. I'm Michael Kovnat, and this is the Next Big Idea Daily, the podcast that helps you sharpen your mind in just a few minutes a day. Now, I'm going to guess that you're pretty good at your job. You've built up the skills, you've put in the effort, maybe you've even mastered your craft. But most of us don't work in a vacuum. We work in teams. And no matter how talented or diligent you are, your success ultimately depends on the people around you. In his new book, The Collective Edge, organizational scientist Colin M. Fisher says it's time to ditch the myth of the lone genius and focus on what really moves the needle, groups that work. Our curator Daniel Pink says the book is essential reading for creators, builders, and leaders. Colin's going to share some of his big ideas with us right after this quick break.
At Thales, we know cybersecurity can be tough and you can't protect everything, but with Thales, you can secure what matters most. With Thales industry-leading platforms, you can protect critical applications, data, and identities, anywhere and at scale with the highest ROI. That's why the most trusted brands and largest banks, retailers, and healthcare companies in the world rely on Thales to protect what matters most: applications, data, and identities. That's Thales, Thales. Learn more at thalesgroup.com/cyber.
This episode is brought to you by KPMG. Making an impact is how KPMG helps make the difference. KPMG applies advanced tools and strategic thinking to convert data into actionable knowledge and deliver value by improving performance through transformation, modernizing processes with technology, harnessing the power of data, navigating complex M&A transactions, and enhancing trust among stakeholders. Go to kpmg.us/advisory to learn more. KPMG. Make the difference.
Hello, I'm Colin Fisher. I'm an organizational scientist and professor at University College London School of Management. I think groups are fascinating. I've found them fascinating since my days working as a jazz trumpet player. I often wondered, why do some groups just click while others fall apart? I've been trying to unlock the secrets of groups for decades, conducting scientific studies of groups and teams in the lab and in the wild. I'm using what I've learned to help leading organizations around the world collaborate better. And I'm convinced that there's nothing more important and overlooked than group dynamics. That's why I'm excited to tell you about 5 insights from my new book, The Collective Edge: Unlocking the Secret Power of Groups. 1. The lone genius is a myth. Try a collective perspective. We love stories of lone geniuses. Narratives of individuals shaping the world hold a special appeal, whether they're scientists, CEOs, performers, or prime ministers. But lone geniuses are more myth than reality. The truth is that groups make the world go round. For instance, who invented the light bulb? If you said Thomas Edison, you'd be wrong. Incandescent bulbs were invented before Edison was born. Edison built on the work of many others, and he didn't work alone. His breakthrough was a team effort with a group he called the Muckers, whose names are mostly lost to history. Today, teams dominate the landscape for breakthrough ideas. One study of millions of patents and research papers found that teams were over 6 times more likely than individuals to produce breakthrough discoveries. So why do we keep telling the wrong story? Our brains are biased. Psychologists call it the fundamental attribution error. We over-explain successes with our personal traits and ignore the context that made it possible. We also inflate our own contributions to groups. In one study, group members estimated their share of the team's output. The totals reached 235%. The myth doesn't just mislead us. It makes us worse at building teams. If we idolize individual brilliance, we keep hiring stars and purging bad apples, hoping for lightning to strike. But if we see the world through a collective perspective, we can ask better questions. What group conditions made this success possible? And how can we design them again? So the next time you admire a breakthrough, look past the most obvious hero. Ask, who else was involved? And what made their collaboration work? 2. Synergy is real. but it's elusive. Synergy sounds like a buzzword, but it's very real. I've felt it as a jazz musician, where groups I've been a part of spontaneously bring ideas out of one another that none of us could have conceived alone. And research shows that synergy is possible. Great musical ensembles, sports teams, and businesses bring together diverse knowledge, skills, and perspectives to become more than the sum of their parts. But synergy is rare. Most groups underperform because of predictable process losses, coordination breakdowns, and low effort that are all too common in groups. One classic study showed that members of two-person groups contribute only 70% of what they would working alone. It gets worse as groups grow. A group of 6 gets only about 40% output from its members. Still, when synergy happens, it's the pinnacle of group and human performance. Miles Davis's Kind of Blue is my favorite example. Each musician had a distinct voice. John Coltrane's sheets of sound, Bill Evans's lush harmonies, Miles Davis's restraint. But together, they made each other better. Each musician's idiosyncratic approach accentuated the beauty of the others, making the whole more than the sum of the individual parts. Margaret Mead was right. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. But it isn't easy to get synergy, because our groupie tendencies sometimes bring out the worst in us. 3. Groups can bring out the worst in us. Groups are often in the news for all the wrong reasons. Conformity, polarization, prejudice, conflict, and general mass stupidity. Politicians prey on the dark side of our primitive tendencies to praise us and blame them. Social media strengthens intergroup hate while isolating us from local communities. Our tendency to sort into groups underlies political conflict, war, and atrocity. Our Paleolithic brains have some dangerous tendencies embedded within them. One of the most pernicious is conformity. Conformity pressures are powerful and automatic. If you're in a group watching a street performer, you clap because everyone else claps, even when you're privately unimpressed. In meetings, that same instinct silences dissenting voices. Conformity may sound bad, but it has a purpose. Our tendencies toward conformity are embedded in our Paleolithic brains, which keeps groups together and coordinating smoothly. We sometimes need to go along to get along. But there are also dark sides of our tendency toward conformity, the times when we're subtly, and not so subtly, pushed to conform to the will of the collective. Conformity pressures are at the root of many catastrophic decisions, cult-like thinking, and extremism. Online echo chambers and increasing political polarization are making these forces stronger than ever. But the dark side of groups isn't inevitable if we structure our groups carefully. 4. Use group structure to stack the deck toward synergy. Great groups don't emerge purely by chance. They're purposely designed to maximize their chances of achieving synergy. A group's composition, goals, tasks, and norms collectively make up its structure. Structure is the most powerful way to build effective, happier groups. The best design groups are small teams working interdependently toward clear goals, with motivating tasks and norms that foster psychological safety and autonomy. Too often, however, leaders are careless about group structure. They compose teams based on politics and availability, rather than finding the right mix of knowledge and skills. They charge teams with vague goals, yet micromanage the process. They offer the team boring, demotivating tasks. When problems crop up, many try to directly alter group process, holding meetings to diffuse conflict or giving rousing speeches to motivate disengaged members. One study found that when faced with a struggling group, 84% tried to intervene in process, while only 5% used the most powerful lever available, changing the group's structure. It's like they say in gambling, the house always wins. In a casino, you can win with a good strategy for a little while, but in the long run, the odds embedded in the game will win out. It's the same in teams. Structure is simply more powerful than coaching to improve process. It should be the first place you turn when designing a group for synergy. 5. You can shape the groups in your life, even without a title. In the best groups, leadership isn't just for whoever has the formal title of leader. It's a team sport. Every group member has the ability to shape group dynamics, if they know where to look. When you lack formal authority, you have 3 main ways to influence your group: asking questions, modeling norms, and attributing leadership to others. One of the most powerful tools is asking questions. Asking questions about the goals, norms, and processes a group is using can spark important conversations that get everyone on the same page. What are we trying to accomplish here? Why do we do things the way that we do them? How can we improve? Questions like these can spark important discussions, invite overlooked perspectives, and help get everyone on the same page. Early in a group's life, norms emerge easily. Members look to one another for cues about what's appropriate. So modeling norms that promote open communication and psychological safety matters enormously. If you want more candor, show it. If you want curiosity, ask thoughtful questions yourself. Last, as a group member, you have a choice in who you look to as a role model, turn to for advice, or endorse suggestions from. These are small ways of attributing informal leadership to other members. And over time, informal attributions of leadership increase the status of other group members, which gives them more influence over the group and its dynamics. So start small. Ask a better question, name an unspoken issue, or model the behavior you want to see. You don't need permission to improve a group. If you play your cards right, your group can become more than the sum of its parts.
Thank you, Colin. Okay, everyone, you can get a copy of The Collective Edge using the link in the episode notes. That's our show for the day. If you got something out of it, please leave us a 5-star rating and a glowing review so others can find the show. And go to nextbigideaclub.com if you want to get the best new nonfiction book sent right to your door as chosen by our curators, Malcolm Gladwell, Susan Cain, Adam Grant, and Daniel Pink. Check that out at nextbigideaclub.com and use the code DAILY to get a 20% discount. That's nextbigideaclub.com and use the code DAILY. I'm Michael Kovnat. See you tomorrow.
For a limited time at McDonald's, get a Big Mac Extra Value Meal for $8. That means 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun, and medium fries, and a drink. We may need to change that jingle.
Prices and participation may vary.